The Red River Regional Marksmanship Center offers a variety of classes like situational awareness, handgun, and rifle classes, just to name a few. The gun cleaning classes at the range will cover different types of firearms. Visit www.rrrmc.com for more information or to sign up for a class. In this video, Lonnie will go in-depth and demonstrate cleaning a Glock 44. Enjoy.
Hey everyone, it's Lonnie. I'm up here at the range today. So today I'm going to be demonstrating on how to clean a Glock 44. The Glock 44 is a 22 long rifle handgun that is got similar shape to the other Glocks that are out there, like the Glock 19. Very similar to a full-size Glock, except it's shooting a 22 long rifle. And as everybody knows, 22 long rifle is one of the dirtiest ammunitions you can shoot. So this gun's been malfunctioning in the range. So I'm going to go ahead and take it apart and give it a cleaning. And then we're going to go ahead and test fire it again when I'm done cleaning it, just to see if it helped. So first thing I'm going to do is verify that the gun is unloaded. So by doing that, there's no magazine in here, there's no live ammunition in the room. So I'm going to lock the slide back. I'm going to verify. I'm going to give it a visual and check with my finger. Check that the feed path is empty. So now I verified that the gun is unloaded. I'm going to go ahead and take the gun apart. So I'm going to take the Glock apart. You actually got to dry fire the gun. And then there's these two little levers down here that you got to pull down simultaneously on the frame. You pull down on those levers and then you pull back on the slide at the same time. Okay, it's kind of a pain to do. And once you pull those levers down, push forward, and then the top of the slide comes right off. So now I have my lower assembly, and I have my upper with the barrel in it, and the recoil spring. So I'm going to set the lower off to the side for a minute. Then I'm going to remove the recoil spring by pushing forward on the spring. And note that there's a plastic piece in the front here, and a thin metal, kind of looks like a flat washer on the back. Okay. And then the barrel comes out just by sliding it forward and pulling it back. Okay, so now we have our barrel, our slide, our recoil spring, and our lower. So some of the equipment that we're going to be using today to clean this, I have a cleaning rod. This is a stainless rod. It's got an aluminum handle that swivels real nice and smooth. Okay. I have a couple brushes, some Q-tips, I got some cleaning solvents, and I also have a brass brush. This is a bore brush. This is going to be going into the bore to knock up any loose carbon or any lead buildup we may have in the bore. Then I have a patch puller as well, or patch pusher. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is start with the barrel. And when I do that, I like to brush the barrel before I put any solvent in the bore of the barrel. I'm just going to push this brush through there, and that's going to knock up any loose carbon or copper or lead deposits. I'm just going to push from the back of the barrel, so from the breech end of the barrel to the front of the muzzle, just like this. I'm going to push forward. And when I do that, you'll see some stuff come out of there. I'm just going to run this back and forth. When you're doing this, you don't want to hold the rod. The handle actually swivels for a reason. This is to allow the brush to follow the rifling inside the barrel and knock any of that debris loose. So I'm going to do that a couple times. And these guns are used very hard. These guns have a lot of rounds put through them. So there's going to be a little bit of carbon buildup in here. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to take some solvent, some cleaner, and I'm going to soak the outside of the barrel here where the feed ramp is. I'm just going to kind of soak everything down a little bit. I'm going to let this sit and soak for a little bit while we're cleaning the rest of the gun. Kind of let that soak in and get rid of any of that buildup that could be building up in there. Okay. I'm also going to clean up the recoil spring. It's not real dirty, but we'll get some of that carbon on there, so I'm going to let this soak as well. Now I'm going to go onto the slide. I'm going to grab a brush I'm gonna spray the slide down with some cleaner. I'm gonna go ahead and just scrub the slide out a little bit. I'm gonna brush any of this carbon up or anything like that. 22 long rifle are very dirty, so they do leave a lot of sludge behind. So you want to make sure you get all that sludge and carbon buildup out of there. So I'm going to get in here and scrub inside these little crannies and nooks in here and just clean it really good. Get the rail where the rail meets up. I'm going to grab a patch. You can see when I pull the patch off of there, it's very dirty. So I'm just going to give this a good cleaning. I'm just going to keep wiping this out until it's pretty clean. You can see already how it's getting much cleaner. I'm also going to clean the bolt face a little bit here. Spray some of this in there. Clean the bolt face. This will help clean up the ejector area as well. That is really, see, that's just the sludge in there right now. It's really dirty. Give it another spray with the cleaner. Also going to grab another clean patch. I like to use patches to do this. If you use a rag, it tends to leave lint in there. These are cotton patches, so they're pretty lint free. You can use shop towels to do some of this work too. I will, when I'm all done, I'll wipe everything down with some shop towels just to give it a good once over. Okay, the inside of the slide's looking pretty good now. It's pretty clean. I'll worry about the outside stuff in a little bit. Take some Q-tips in here. Get this little rail in here cleaned up. All right, let's get some of that. So you can see, it's getting pretty clean. A little bit of dirt in the bottom yet, at just kind of where the carbon deposits. All right, so now I got the slide area pretty clean. Looks really clean compared to what it was. I'll set that off to the side. Now I'm going to clean the lower. You guys can see the lower is just filthy. This is you can just see the crud on there. It's pretty dirty. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a good spray now. Just get the magazine well, the frame, the rail, everything. Just give it a good coating of lubricant cleaner. So this is a cleaner that's just it's an all-in-one cleaner. It's kind of a general purpose cleaner. Doesn't have much smell to it. I'm actually in a small room right now doing this, and there's no odor at all, so that's good. It means I won't get too goofy. Well, goofier than I normally am, I guess. I'm gonna start scrubbing the frame rails out as well on this thing. This is gonna take a little bit of time. It's pretty gunky. And the functionality of this handgun is compromised when this thing is this gunky. You're gonna have a lot of misfires, stovepiping, failure to feed, failure to ejects. It can be quite frustrating on the firing line, especially if you're using a gun like this one for training. We use this one for training new shooters, and when you have a new shooter who's experiencing a lot of malfunctions, it just doesn't add to the learning experience to be a positive one. So we like to keep these in pretty good shape. Okay, grab a patch. I'm actually going to use a dirty one for a minute. Start getting some of the gunk out of here. I think when we're done with this thing though, it's going to shoot really well. The biggest issue we were having was failure to feeds. Get down in here, clean the mag well out. As you can see, the Q-tip is just turning black right away practically. Grab a new one. I think I'm gonna have to charge him time and a half for doing this one. So what's happened here over time too is the 22 long rifle, it's still dirty. It's actually created sludge around the components inside the frame. And it's almost where I'm gonna have to scrape it with a scraper. Get some of this out of here. One more spray. I want to make sure I pay close attention to the frame rails too. These rails are this is the part of the gun that the slide goes back and forth on, so those gotta be really clean. That'll make it function more smoother. Alright. I did end up having to go out and use a little bit of gun scrubber on this frame just because some of the carbon was so built up into the tight areas of the frame, and I didn't want to use that in the room here, just so I'll show everybody what gun scrubber looks like. This is what you can buy this stuff. I think it's around $10, $12 a can. It's very flammable, and it's got a really strong odor to it, so I would not recommend using that indoors. So I actually took the frame outside and put it above a garbage can and sprayed the frame out with that. And I kind of put the finishing touches on it now. So I'm just gonna, this stuff evaporates very quick. It does take off a lot of it strips all the oil, and a lot of the grime will come off with it. I don't recommend using this product with any guns that have like a wooden stock, or if you do, you wanna make sure you protect those areas. So now I'm gonna set the lower off to the side now. That's pretty clean. So at this point, our slide is clean, our lower is clean. And now I'm going to work on the barrel a little bit. So the barrel's got a lot of carbon buildup along this area here. This area right here is called the feed path. So we want to make sure we get that nice and clean. And then I'm also going to scrub that bore a little bit more. Right now it's just been soaking in solvent. I did loosen up the rifling, the lands and the grooves with a brush. So I'm going to go ahead and start working that bore again. I'm going to use my brush again to break some more of that gunk up inside there. I'm just going to force this through. I'm going to let that just kind of work that solvent in there. Okay. And then I'm going to take my brass brush I have right here. And I'm going to spray this down to get a little bit more solvent. And I'm going to scrub the face of this feed ramp here just a little bit. I'm just going to hit that with the brass brush. I don't want to get too aggressive because it's just a little bit of carbon buildup on there. So get all that off of there. And around the barrel here, the outside. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to take my nylon brush to it now as well. Just kind of scrub that a little bit. A little bit more lubricant on there, a little bit more cleaner. And this cleaner I'm using is just a general purpose. It cleans and lubricates and protects all in one. It works great for minor buildup. When you get that real heavy carbon gunky buildup, it'll take a lot more scrubbing, and it's a little easier to get some of the spray solvents in there. So you can see him actually just pulled a piece of lead off right there. So, all right, that looks pretty clean there. I'm gonna go ahead and start working that bore now. So I'm gonna put my patch puller, or patch pusher, on my cleaning rod. This just threads right on. And I'm gonna take a patch. Take a clean patch. I'm gonna put some solvent on it now. All in one here. Push this through. So you see how the solvent Got my patch pretty dirty there. Pull that back through. Okay, I'm actually gonna spray some solvent on the patch. Run the patch through here again with some solvent on it. And it's getting cleaner. So now I'm gonna start running some dry patches through our bore, through our barrel, and just kind of make sure I get any of that leftover residue out of there. And again, you always want to clean a barrel from the breech end, so that's from the back end here to the muzzle, because the muzzle actually has a crown machined in it, and if you damage that crown, it can actually affect your accuracy. Okay, so the patch is really clean. So I'm going to give the barrel a final wipe down here on the outside. Okay, so now all we have left now is our recoil spring. I'm going to give that another spray with this cleaner and wipe that down. Give it one final wipe down. Okay, and that's clean. Okay, so now we've got everything clean. Now we're going to lubricate the parts and put it back together. These Glocks can run practically dry forever, so we're not going to get too crazy about lubing it up, because 22 long rifle is a very dirty ammo. It leaves a lot of soot, a lot of residue behind. So when we do that, when we lube them up, we don't want to use an excessive amount of oil. Just a little drop here or there. I'm going to lubricate the outside of the barrel, the whole outside, and I'm going to wipe it off. It's just to protect the gun from rusting, in case this gun is going to sit for a long time and not get used. So I'm going to just give it a light coat of oil, just a couple drops, and spread it around and wipe off the excess. Let that sit. Same thing with the spring. I'm just gonna use the oil that's on my fingers and on the patches here just to lube that up. Okay, as far as the slide goes, again, I'm just going to put a couple drops where it rides on the rails. Because you don't need a lot of lubrication on your guns. A lot of people tend to over oil them, and if we put an excessive amount of oil on the 22s, then they just get dirtier faster. So I'm just going to take a Q-tip, run this oil back and forth in here, just like this. A little bit of oil in there, wipe it down. Okay, that looks good. Our barrel, our slide, and our spring are now lubricated. Now I'm going to lubricate the frame. There's a lot of moving parts in here, so I'm going to just sparingly oil these. A couple drops in the frame here where the ejector is and the trigger bar. Put a little bit of oil there, wipe that down, put a little bit of oil on the frames, on the frame rails. So you can see I put a little bit of oil here, work that oil in with the Q-tip, a little bit down in here, just a little tiny drop, that's all we need, just a little bit. Alright, so I think this thing is ready to go back together. I mean, it's clean, it's been oiled. So first thing I'm going to do is put the barrel back in. To do that, I'm going to put this barrel in from the back like this. Grab my recoil spring. The recoil spring, the front of it is this plastic piece. That goes into the front, and then you push that in. There's 2 steps in here. It's very important that you get this spring all the way down. Okay. And then I'm going to put the slide back on the frame, very carefully get it started. Everything's lining up really well. Okay, it's back together. I'm going to give it a function check. Okay, seems like it works. Lock the slide back now, and I'm going to give it a final wipe down. I'm going to wipe down any excessive oil or anything like that on the gun. This is usually the easy part. I'm just going to use a little bit of oil to kind of help me out with the cleaning process here. Put a few drops up on the slide, and I'm going to grab a rag. Just kind of polish the slide a little bit. Wipe the grip down. Okay, that looks really good. It looks clean. I think it'll function much better this time. So we're going to head out to the range right now, and then we're going to go ahead and put a few rounds through it and see if we get any more of those malfunctions. Well, as you can see, the gun ran flawlessly, no misfires, no failure to feeds, no stovepipes, and no failure to ejects, which are all things that can lead to safety issues on the firing line. Again, this is a Glock 44 22 long rifle handgun. If you're interested in learning more about cleaning your firearm and need assistance with that, check out one of the range's upcoming gun cleaning classes at our website. We hope this video helps, and we hope you enjoyed it, and we hope to see you at the range.